Yo, what's up, you devious bastards? This is Negative coming at you guys with a video for the Smashbox. This is not a troll video like the last video. I'm actually going to go over some of the changes that I've made to my layout for Marth and Ganon and how it works. Basically, what some of the changes that I've made over time are to the layout over the last couple iterations and why I've made them and kind of why this layout works so well for Marth. So I'm just going to turn on a little hand here to help me point some stuff out. So first off, my layout is divided into two logical regions, right? The left hand basically only does movement and modifying movement. So we've got tilt 2 that modifies both the X and Y axis. We've got Y1 and Y2. These basically only modify the vertical axis. X2 only modifies the horizontal axis. And then I've got light shield, which, I didn't have a better place for it, so I said fuck it. But what we have here is, let's say I'm pressing left or right and I hold tilt 2. So tilt 2 right now is set to be, a decent walk speed. Like, it's fairly fast, but it still gives me, it protects against jump. So if I press jump, it's not going to tap jump, right? Tap jump's disabled when I'm holding this. So if I'm not holding it, I'll jump, right? If I am holding it, then no tap jump. Same thing, it's not going to crouch. And the main reason for that is because the exact distance downward to activate crouch is the same one to activate shield drop, which would be amazing, but it's also the exact same one to activate down smash if you press A at the same time that you press down. So like if I hold tilt and I get down tilt instead of down smash. And that's what you want for a tilt button if you're using it for attacks. You don't want to accidentally get down smash when you're trying to use it. So that's kind of why I have that set up. Also, Y1, this is your perfect wave dash length. Y2 is a pretty damn long wave dash. It's not the perfect wave dash, but it's more lenient for wave landing. So that's kind of nice. Also, Y1 protects against fast falling. If you jump in the air and then you can just press down, no fast fall, right? Whereas Y2, you're going to fast fall. And then I've got X2. This modifies my horizontals, right? So X2 is great because, this one right here, it's great because this is like a pretty fast walk. This is the fastest walk you can start out with without activating dash, right? Any walk speed higher than this will activate dash when you press it with a cardinal. So what you can do is, like, there's still faster walk speeds, right? You can start walking at this speed and then let go and get the full 1.0 walk speed, right? But this is the fastest walk speed you can get that won't initially activate the dash. So it's pretty good. But the left side only concerns movement with directionals and modifying them. The right hand is responsible for jumping, attacking, and, wave dashing, shielding, grabbing, right? All that stuff, all the active things like that are right hand related. So you can kind of divide your brain up as far as, like, it's easy to understand which hand needs to be doing what, right? So next, I've made a few changes to my layout over the past couple iterations. The main things are this. So here, I used to have my A button right here where L's at. And it made Nair really cool because I could just XA, XA, XA. It was kind of amazing. But the problem was that I had to have Y and L up here. And I liked that I had Y in the same line as X because if I shifted my hand up to the top home row, my jump was always in the same place. So that made it even easier to use my layout. Your hand, your finger, it was always the same finger to jump. But if I wanted to use wave dash, I had to shift up to the top home row out of position to access like fundamental movement. So I switched those around. I put A up here and I moved L down here. And this I felt was pretty much perfect. So now I can wave dash around with X and L. This is your bottom home row. This is where your hand is normally anchored when you are playing the game. So your hand is here on these buttons, and your thumb is probably here on what is now the A button. And you can wave dash like this. You can hold shield and then wave dash out of shield, right? Super easy. And you can hold C stick down and still access all these buttons, right? So you can hold C stick down, be wave dashing around, be dashing around. You can grab, which I used to have grab down here even, but you can do like jump cancel grabs. You can do tilts. You can do, because even if this tilt isn't going to be in a good position, you can still use this tilt to do the same stuff. So you can basically use A and tilt. So you can basically do whatever you want. You can use aerial moves. But this is basically all your movement right here. And it's important that all your movement is immediately accessible. The problem was that I had A up here, where Z's at, and I had Z down here. And Z was really good down here. I liked it. The problem was that all my aerial moves, C up wasn't here. C up was right here where Y's at. So I had all my C stick aerials right here, other than down, because I wanted down there so I could move around and hold it down. But the problem was, if I was going to do an aerial move with a C stick button, and then I wanted to L cancel it with a soft L cancel, I had to press Z, but that required tapping this button and immediately jumping down here and tapping this as fast as I could, right? And I have to jump different distances and directions every time. It was just really, really inconvenient, and it pretty much meant I wasn't going to get soft L cancels ever unless I wanted to use my shield toggle or light shield button with my left hand to help coordinate my L cancels with my right hand, which I try to keep each hand doing their own thing, right? Like you want to join the motions together to where they flow naturally as like one motion that's easier to time, because there's more room for error if you're actually having to sync both hands up with each other than having one hand do a consistent motion by itself. So Z was in the wrong place if I wanted to get soft L cancels. So I had to switch it. I moved it up here. And now it's great. Like I can L cancel with, I can do one of these aerial moves, and then I can hit L to L cancel it. I could hit R if I wanted to. I use this as a dedicated shield button, and I never L cancel with it. But what I could do is, I could be facing left and use L, or face right and use R, like if it feels more natural to me. But now I have the option that I'll actually press Z with my middle finger. And so I can basically use either or, depending on like, if I felt like I spaced myself really well and there's no need to press Z, I can use that if it feels more natural, or I can just always press Z. It doesn't matter. R, I also, I have it there if it feels more natural for some reason to do a waveland with R versus L. I can do that, right? Like some reason for Ganon, sometimes it feels more natural to waveland with L. But I have both opportunities to waveland here. And now, the other main thing is I have a very particular layout with my left and right C buttons. All my aerials with Marth, this profile is made for Marth. So all my aerials specifically use these C buttons to do them, other than Nair. Nair, I use A. And the reason for that is because, as you can see, let's see, I can just do that. This is L canceling with L, right? But I can also do, like, you're dash dancing around, you're going to be changing directions really quickly, and you want to be able to, like, immediately do a forward air in the opposite direction, right? And you want there to be almost no transition time between one side and the other side. So that's why I don't really want to do, like, something where the left and right buttons are split up. Like, maybe left is over here and right's over here, or this is right and this is left, right? Like, those types of things are going to create more travel time for your thumb. This setup right here, where left is the slightly more left one, right's the slightly more right one, there's no travel time. Like, you can switch between left and right fairs instantly. And then lastly, with C up down here now, you also have the ability to do up airs out of those things. And now all these buttons are on the same arc of your thumb. All you have to do, it's the same arc. It's the same distance when your hand is anchored over here, right? It's like on this little circular arc. So it's kind of nice. Jump is here. This is kind of weird. It is useful for a couple things. Obviously, this is my main jump button. I use this almost all the time. Y, I pretty much use as a second jump if I want it like immediately after X. So I can do like XY when I'm like quickly doing like double jump, no impact land a platform with Marth, like, you know, like that, right? And it's more consistent than the other layouts that I've tried as well. So it's very good for double jump, no impact land on Battlefield platforms with Marth, or on Dreamland platforms, or doing a double jump into a waveland on platforms. It's very, very nice. You know, you hit this, then you hit this, and then you hit your waveland button. It feels good, right? There's minimal hand movement. But now we've got our A button here. This was the major change. Before, I had my A button down here, right? But I couldn't access wave dashing without moving out of position. So I switched those, and A was up here. And that was great because I had this layout, which is perfect for movement. But now every time I wanted to do tilts or jabs, I had to move my hand out of position again. And I was like, you know, A button needs to be accessible at all times. With my movement, I need to be able to do tilt attacks and jabs, like without having to shift. So that was a big problem. And how I kind of got around it was putting the A button here, and then I shifted Y and tilt. And I did that for a very good reason. So now with A button here, we have Nair, right? We can do X and A, X and A. We can do tilts either with this tilt button or this tilt button, and then A. So these tilts are also set up. Both tilts are set to do turnaround up tilts. So you can do turnaround up tilt, turnaround D tilt, right? Because it's kind of unimportant to do turnaround F tilts. You can kind of just do that anyways, like no matter what, just by holding the direction. So there's no reason to have the diagonals be turnaround F tilt, you know? The only difference is you're not going to get angled F tilt up and down with Ganon unless you're using a modifier. For that, I can use either Y1 or X2 will give me angled up and down tilt, or like angled F tilt up and down, right? The downward angled F tilt, upward angled F tilt. So I still have those for Ganon. They're these two buttons here. But for Marth, that doesn't really matter. It's more important that you can do really quick pivot turnaround D tilts and turnaround up tilts. So those are how my tilts are set up. They also protect against tap jump, right? Like if I'm holding tilt and I press up, I'm not going to jump. So I can just press up, I can hit A, I'm going to get tilt. I don't have to worry about tap jump. And the same thing, let's see. The reason I switched Y and tilt was because this position right up here is absolutely perfect for plinking. And what plinking is it's used for pivoting in Melee, or on the Smashbox. So mode, this M button, this is useful for doing like dash dancing if I want to do that with my right hand, right? Instead of just doing this with my left hand, which is also equally easy, you know. But, you know, you could like do that, and then you can like jump with X is right there, right? So I could just like, you know, do aerials out of it like super fast, like, you know, whatever. You can wave dash out of it. So it's pretty cool. But plinking, doing the empty pivots, that's the important part. So what we have is, this is my mode button. It's set to mirror, all right? And what mirroring is going to do is if I hold left and then I press mode, I'm going to dash right. So let's see that. Right? So I held left, I hit mode, and now I dash right. If I hold right, and then I hit mode, I'm going to dash left, right? And if I keep holding it, I can just tap mode and switch directions, right? So that's kind of how it works. Well, how pivoting works in this layout, specifically, I wanted to make pivoting as easy as possible because honestly, I feel like it's a lot easier to do on a GameCube controller, mainly because um, you can kind of use the snapback to assist you in like hitting the other way just slightly. So like the snapback can actually make the pivot like kind of easy. But like if you don't play Falco, you know it's pretty good. And then I also like snapback for like turnaround neutral B. So like for a Marth profile, I actually kind of dug snapback. Um, but what we want to do here is we want to plink. And the reason why is, let's say I dash in a direction, and then I hit mode, and this is going to make me, it's going to mirror my left and right so that I start dashing in the opposite direction as soon as I hit it. And it also protects against jumping. See this? Mode, not only does it switch, but it also limits my vertical so that I'm not going to accidentally tap jump. But it still lets me crouch. So that's kind of nice. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit mode, and then on the very next frame, right, because it's frame perfect, it's pivoting. On the very next frame, I want to hit tilt. And my tilt is set up to be the slowest possible walk speed that you can do in this game, right? So it's almost neutral control stick position. And so it's basically like an empty pivot, right? You're dashing one direction, you dash the opposite direction, and then on the frame where Marth is standing vertically, we press tilt to make our control stick go back to neutral, and now we've got a neutral pivot. The nice part is that I'm holding tilt. So I can be holding these buttons, and it still counts as like goddamn almost close to neutral. This is the slowest possible walk speed. It's like one value outside of like the most neutral that, you know, it's the next thing that can register. And so you can do a pivot just by plinking. See that? You just dash, and you press one immediately followed by the other. Just like that. But you don't have to release them. I'm still holding these buttons down. I released these buttons just so I didn't accidentally do a slow turnaround afterwards, because I can end up doing that, right? Like you don't want slow turnaround after your pivot. So like I'll release the direction I'm holding, but I'll still keep holding this though and do my pivot. And from there, because I'm already holding tilt, all I have to do is press down in A, and my thumb's already over the A button, anchored there naturally. So I can just pivot straight into down tilt, right? Just like that. It's amazing. Same with up tilt, right? You can just, see, pivot straight into up tilt. Boom. It's easy. Like, because no longer, you don't have to just time the perfect press, right? Frame perfect press, and also release it extremely quickly. You just have to press it with the right timing. You don't have to release it perfectly. So that's the nice part. It makes it a little bit more accessible. So other than that, let's see. I've got a few other things with this layout that I guess I want to cover. So as we can see, like this position up here in the top, this is the perfect position for plinking. I wanted to have my mode in this position, and I tried putting tilt in like a bunch of other places, and I did like a bunch of pivots in a row and kind of, okay, like what's the highest number that I can get to? Like, can I consistently get like 15 in a row, or can I consistently get 20 pivots in a row, like empty pivots, right? And I found that this position was far better than most of the other ones, because the further it starts to get away, the more you have to start using the stagger between your hand, right? Like this. And that stagger is going to be variable based off of how far you've spread your fingers out, or like, you know, how high your thumb was in relation to this one when you started the press. There's all these variables that can go into the exact positioning that your hands were in. Whereas like when they're resting here in this spot right here, it's almost instant between pressing here and here. You've minimized the distance. You've minimized the spacing between the fingers. So you've minimized a lot of the error that can creep into your pivots when you're trying to do them. But at the same time, we now have A in the exact position we want it. And since we've pivoted with tilt, we're already holding tilt. Now all we have to do is just press A. We can get any tilt that we want, right? So it's pretty amazing. And the same thing, it does turnaround tilts too. So, you can do like, D-tilt one direction, D-tilt the other direction, right? It's pretty fantastic. So what are some of the other things that I've got with this profile? Clearly, I've got my L cancels. Like, I switched Z up here now so that I can do soft L cancel. Because before, when Z was down here, I didn't have that. So now you can pretty much do, let's say, like, I can L cancel with L. Or even if I was like facing right and it felt more natural for me, let's say, to L cancel with R because it's on the right, I could do that, right? Like, here's the one on the right, or here's the one on the left. But now I can actually just do, like, I can use my pinky, or not my pinky, my middle finger, right? And I'll just reach over. And so, like, yeah, see, I'm getting there because I'm just doing it too early. And it's just registering Z. But yeah, so like I can keep the home row position, which is my movement position, right? This is where I'm like wave dashing around, shielding, wave dashing out of shield, stuff like that. I want to be able to keep this position as much as possible. And so the fact that I can be in my movement position, dashing around with C stick held down, right? Wave dashing, doing whatever I want, and I can like do aerials. I'm still holding C stick down. So you can still hold C stick down and use your aerials for left and right. If you're not going to be able to do up and down aerial, because if you press up and down at the same time, you get neutral. And when you let go of one of them, you're going to get the other one. And that's probably not what you want. So you don't want to do that. But for left and right, it's amazing, right? I've got a couple other things here, though. So like one, I can L cancel with Z, right? But the other part is that, oh, and I nair with A, right? But I've got a couple other things. One is that, you see that? I'm pressing C stick up. Nothing's happening. But if I'm pressing C left, C right, C down, then I'm going to get my stuff, right? And the reason for that is that I don't want to get jump canceled up smash almost ever. Unless I'm pivoting, I don't want jump canceled up smash. And so mode, if I hold mode down, you can see I'll get up smash while I'm on the ground. But if I'm not holding mode down, nothing. Because it's only tilting the C stick up far enough to where if I'm in the air, it counts. If I'm in the air, it counts. So I can do, my short hop up airs with Ganon, like as low to the ground as possible, or with Marth, and I can get up aerial, but I'll never accidentally get up smash when I'm just on the ground, dashing around, trying to do jump and then do it, right? It's not going to happen. The nice part about it is so like, what do? Dash, and then after you've dashed, you hold C stick down, right? That way you don't end up down smashing accidentally. And the reason why we want to have this still activate down smash is because we want the full ASDI down. If you're only holding the stick partially downward, you only get like a part of that. It's like a partial ASDI length, right? You don't get the full length ASDI. And the ASDI is actually about half of a full length normal smash DI. So like, you don't want to start out with half and then get even less than that, to where like you're still not going to be like held onto the ground when you get jabbed or stuff like that. So we want full length tilt for our down smash, or for our down C stick, right? But if you're holding C stick down, what you'll notice is like I have it set up. I can do like stuff like that, and like you can wave land out of your out of your forward air, right? Let's see, Jesus, get my frames back up. Okay, I'm just gonna watch this side of the screen. Yeah, that's easier. So you could just waveland, right? If you happen to like triangle jump when you waveland like that, or like you don't get the cleanest possible waveland, then if you try to jump while you're in the lag, see that? Like I F smashed. If you try to waveland, you get triangle jump and you hit jump, but you're still in the lag of the waveland, the special, what is it? Special landing or whatever. You're not going to get jump. And then when you try to do forward air with the C stick, you're going to get F smash. And you don't want that. So what happens is, if you're holding C stick down though, when you're on the ground, no F smash. But in the air, you still get forward airs or back airs. So that's the nice part, is that if we're running around with C-stick held down, like, and maybe you're doing like forward air, waveland, right? If I accidentally fuck up and get triangle jump, I'm not going to accidentally F smash. Like the worst case scenario, I'm just going to be standing there and then I can react and like do something else. Like I could like pivot away or something. So those are kind of some of the protections that I have built in that are pretty nice. And the last thing, I've got Y and X set up here. And the reason Y is here on the thumb is kind of a weird place to put it, but it is useful for when you want to do an immediately like double jump. Like if you want to double jump immediate, like you want to go, you know, like that, right? Like, but more importantly, see that? That's like the no impact land on Battlefield Plat. Let's see. So with the no impact land for Battlefield Plat, you pretty much have to time it perfectly, right? Like, if you don't time it perfect, then you're just not going to get the no impact land. Like, that's the regular land. And then, there we go. That's like the no impact land. I feel like this, I'm still not great at it. I have to practice the timing, but I feel like it's a lot more consistent, at least with this kind of a button layout, where you can just go tap, tap like that. And it's also useful for like double jumping and then like wave landing on the plat. Like you can just go like that. Like, let's see. So, and what else is there? So I think I've covered most of the stuff, right? We've got pivots, everything that we can do out of those, double jumping. Jump cancel grab is the only thing that's not amazing on this setup. So it's the only thing that there's a little bit left to be desired. So with jump cancel grab, we'll still use like Y and Z, because like X and Z, this is kind of a bad position. Like you kind of don't want to have to press X and then hit Z, because it's you have to shift your finger up. You can. It's not bad, but if your thumb's already down here, like this is probably a little bit easier. And in particular, when you're going to use mode to do like a pivot and then try to jump cancel out of it, like this is a more natural layout where the way your hand is spread, like mode here, jump here, grab here. Like you're not going to try to get this finger down here to X, you know? So it's probably better to just jump cancel with these two buttons and then just use mode 2 when you want to get your pivot in. Otherwise, you can also pivot with left and then right, because like with second input cardinality, or the input priority, you can hit left and hold it down and then hit right, right? And it's going to go with whatever the most recent was. And then if you let go of it, you know, it's going to go back to the original one. So you can dash dance like this, right? One button dash dance. And same thing for that. If you're going to jump cancel grab, then all you have to do is like you can hit here, keep holding it, and just hit this opposite direction, and then hit your jump cancel grab, right? So those are some of the techniques. That is the one that is, it's not bad. It's still decent, but it's not perfect. But everything else in this layout is pretty much perfect for Marth. And I think that covers most of it. I'll just tell you a couple of the nuances that I have here too. So obviously when I'm holding tilt 2, I can't get crouch. And that sucks if you wanted to actually crouch cancel, because because unless you're in the crouch animation like this, you're not going to get it. Like if you're standing here, even though you're holding down on the stick, you're not going to get a crouch cancel. And so one thing that I added was that if you're holding one of the tilts and then you press down and you hit mode, it'll switch you into crouch. And what that's going to do is you have the option to just switch into crouch by pressing it. But I've actually removed that from the most recent change. I need to make this change again. I got rid of it, and the reason for it is, or at least I got rid of it for tilt, this tilt. So if I press mode, you can see I'm not getting crouch for this tilt. The reason for that is because I don't want to activate down smash. So if you want to do a tilt, any tilt, if you press down and A at the same time, right, you're going to get down tilt because it, but at the amount of tilt necessary to trigger shield drop or to trigger, what is it? Or to trigger crouch, it's the same number to also trigger down smash instead of down tilt. So if you wanted to be able to shield drop with your tilt button, if you can actually do that, then that means that, guess what? You're going to down smash if you press down and A at the same time. So my setup doesn't use any of the tilt buttons to do the shield drops. You just do diagonal. So you can just press diagonal and then down, right? So it's like the axe shield drop method. And the thing is, it doesn't matter because if you're going to shield drop down, you see how I fell straight down. As long as you let go instantly, you're going to fall straight down. And then same thing, like, you know, the one nice part about the other one is that you don't have to worry about like getting like a little bit of a dash when you go forward or doing like a shield and then tilting it using a tilt and then letting go and doing it, right? So that's kind of nice. But overall, I felt that it was more important to have godlike pivot detilts and pivot up tilts. Because if I want pivot detilts to be godlike, then I want to make it to where if I'm pressing, I don't want it to be where I have to wait or else I'm accidentally going to trigger down smash. I just want down smash to not be an option if I'm using my tilt buttons. So that was one of the changes I made. And the only other thing that I want to really bring up, I guess, is that I've got, let's see, if you're crouching and you hold mode, right, and tilt 2, so both of my tilts, if I'm holding mode and a tilt, you can see it's not inverted. It's only inverted when I'm holding mode without a tilt. Mode and tilt is not inverted. Right? See that? Right goes right, left goes left. Same thing with tilt 2. It's not inverted, right? So the thing I wanted to point out with that is that if I'm holding mode and tilt 2 and I'm crouched, I can actually dash out of crouch. Like, so this is basically like, you know, you could run up, crouch, and just hold mode and tilt 2, and then react, you know, whatever they do, you can just dash out of your crouch, right? So that's the idea. Is I also have dash out of crouch with the controller. And yeah, guys, I mean that's the layout. Hopefully you dug it. You can see the only other thing I'm going to mention is I have all my C buttons here. I have C left, C right, and C up. And since all of those attacks are done, you know, all my aerials are done with these. The reason for them to be in this particular layout is C left and C right. I want there to be minimum travel time for my thumb to switch between left and right. So like if I'm facing left and then I want to face right and then I want to face left, you know, there's no travel time. That's what I want. I want the instant reacts. I want to be able to dash dance around, and on a moment, I can just switch between my left and right, like double fairs, stuff like that. And then you can also do, like, you can just as easily, like, you know, do one, and then, like, put an up air after it, right? Stuff like that. So this is like, all I have to do, like my hand's anchored here. If I'm doing aerials, like I can just, it's the same arc right here. I can get all these buttons. I don't have to try to like move my thumb around, try to find the button. Like it's over here somewhere. They're just right here. So that's the layout, guys. Hopefully you dug it. The only thing that Marth can't do here is that you're going to have to use X2 or Y1 if you want to do a downward angled or upward angled forward tilt with Ganon. So those two buttons are going to do that. And everything else pretty explanatory. Hopefully I covered it pretty well for you guys. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. And I'll see you in the future with another video. Peace.